Hi everyone, welcome to SJ's classes and yet another session on your paper 20th century Malayalam literature in English translation. So far I have discussed 10 poets and 6 short story writers. So in effect I have discussed 17 writers as part of this particular paper. Today we will discuss yet another short story, and the short story is titled Orotha and the Spirits. It's written by Gracy. So, as usual, let's move ahead with our understanding of the writer and then let's read the short story. So, let's begin with an introduction to the writer. Gracie was born in the village of Maradi in Ernakulam district in 1951. She taught at Al Amin College, Aluva, for about 25 years and retired in 2007 as the head of the Malayalam department. She is a Malayalam author whose works are known for the uniqueness with which characters are portrayed. Her writings try to eliminate oppressive traditional restrictions on women and other weaker sections of the society. She is not a feminist extremist. No, everyone argue that Gracie is a feminist. But when you go through her works, we understand that her works always stand for women's freedom and rights. And most of the time, she writes about real incidents. So this is what distinguishes Gracie's works from other works in Malayalam literature. Now, most of the time, she writes about real incidents. There are strong undercurrents of feminism that run through most of her stories. The woman in her stories is not a stereotype, a cliched woman character that you find in other novels. The women in her stories are one defined with numerous qualities. Her language, imagery, and narrative style further embellish the magical world that she creates through her fiction. You will very well understand this when you read the short story with me, which we have kept for today. Orotha and the Spirits. There is a magical world that is created by the writer in this particular short story as well. Her first collection of short stories, Padi Irangipoya Parvati, was published in 1991. Let's also look at some of her other notable works. They are Naragavadil, which came out in 1993, Randu Swapnadarshikal, which came out in 1999, Kaveriyude Nere, published in 2001, Elu Penkadagal, that came out in 2002, and a collection, Gracyude Kadagal, that was published in 2005. Her works have also been translated into other languages, into English as well as other Indian languages such as Hindi, Tamil, and Oriya. Let's also look at some of the honors that were bestowed upon her. She received the Lalitambika Antarjanam Award in 1995, the Topil Devi Award in 1997, the Kathak Prize for the Best Malayalam Short Story in 1998, and finally the Kerala Sahitya Academy Award in 2000. Now let me give you an introduction to the story that we are about to read today. This story, titled Orotha and the Spirits, is one that is quite typical of Gracie's fiction. A magical atmosphere pervades throughout the story. Now, I said earlier that she used to represent or portray a magical world through her fiction. And this particular work, Orotha and the Spirits, is one that is quite typical of her fiction. A magical atmosphere pervades throughout the story. It is indicative of her interest in supernatural beings, but with a difference. The kind of supernatural beings that appear in Gracie's novels, especially short stories, they have a difference. The ghosts in it are just like other normal human beings. They are beings with emotions and feelings. So rarely do we find such portrayal of spirits and ghosts. The ghosts with human feelings, feelings like fear, anxiety, disappointment, love, passion. So in Gracie's short stories, in Gracie's fictional world, we confront such ghosts and spirits, who have such human feelings, such human emotions in them. So as I said earlier, this short story is quite typical of her work. Now let's move on to the short story, Orotha and the Spirits. As Orotha lit the coconut frond torch and stepped out into the yard, Pennamachirti asked once again. So we don't have any, descriptions of the character being given there at the very outset. We don't have descriptions of the setting. We just pass into the action at the very outset. Orotha is the protagonist of this particular short story, and she, probably works at this person's house called Pennamachirti, and it's night, and she was about to go home. So she lights a coconut front torch. Coconut front torch means a torch which is made up of, coconut leaves. And she steps out into the yard. Pennamachirti asked once again, "Do you have to go tonight, Orotha? You don't have little ones to burden you at home, do you? Can't you just lie down somewhere here?" So a kind of mysterious nature is evoked here with this dialogue. Where is Orotha going? Why is she going back? Now, the author inculcates that mysterious nature so that the reader can, familiarize himself with the kind of atmosphere that will pervade throughout this particular story. So, something like a mysterious nature is evoked at the very outside. Now, why is Pennamachirti asking her to stay back? Now, Pennamachirti says, you don't have to go back to your house. You don't have any kids at home. You don't have to trouble yourself by traveling at night. So why are you going back to your house during this night? So that is how the narrator is trying to, evoke some mystery with the narrative. Moonlight dawned silver on Orotha's lips as she stepped into the darkness. My man is afraid to sleep alone. So this is the reason why she is hurrying back to her house. She has a husband, and her husband is afraid to sleep alone. We came to understand that from Pennamachirti's dialogue, we came to understand that they don't have any children. So her husband is alone at their home, and her husband is afraid to sleep alone. And then I am soaked in sweat. Can't sleep if I don't wash and change this chatta and mundu. So that is what she is wearing. She says her husband is alone at home, and also, I have to change this dress, this chatta and mundu that I am wearing. It's soaked in sweat. She has probably been working hard all day, and now she wants to freshen up herself. Usually, finishing my work, I am off home before dusk. So normally she used to go back to her house, before night falls. But today, something happened. But today, as I was about to leave, her daughter and son-in-law from Kochi came in. So today, her daughter and son-in-law, which means Pennamachirti's daughter and son-in-law came from Kochi. Then I had to catch a chicken that I had got into the coop and make curry out of it. So she had to make a chicken curry for the guest. The guests were Pennamachirti's daughter and her husband, Pennamachirti's son-in-law. So she had to make a chicken curry for them. I still have two of those pieces which Pennamachirti gave me. So Pennamachirti, as Orotha was about to leave, she gives her two pieces of chicken that she made for the guests. Oh, my man's craving for meat. I cannot help exclaiming, at this rate, you will gobble me up too. Gobble means don't eat hastily, eat something very fast without chewing. So when Orotha used to see her husband eating meat, she would make this statement, you will gobble me up too. And it's nice to hear him say with a smile, like a flash of torchlight, wasn't it for your flesh that I married you? So through this statement, Orotha conveys her husband crave for Orotha as well. The physical sort of craving that he has for Orotha. And then a sly look at my breasts. Not even, not sagging even now, he adds with a wink. So that is a comment made on Orotha's breasts. It is then that this Orotha's heart turns heavy. It's because I am not fated to give birth and raise children. So it's when her husband makes a comment on her breast that she, remembers that she has no children so far. No, God hasn't blessed her with any children. So her heart becomes very heavy. It's because I am not fated to give birth and raise children, and a sigh would escape her. That is a moment when my man starts spouting his philosophy. Spouting means to talk noisily about something. What is the point in having children, O Orotha? The only benefit is that you win the right to slave away for them all of your life. Slave away means to work hard. So if you have children, you will have to work hard all your life for them. You will be slaving yourself away for them. So it's nothing good is there to have in having children. When they are ready to fly, they will leave. That is all. Right now, what do we lack? We work hard, we live well. When this becomes utterly impossible, we can even live together. So look at how Orotha's husband see the marriage. As of now, they are happy with their life. They work hard, they enjoy, and if ever they get tired of each other, if they want to leave each other, then they can do that with all the freedom. Oh, sounds as if all that is in our hands. Orotha will pout. Pout means to reply with a contemptuous look on your face. As if this is what is matter at present. I have found a way for all that, woman. I am scared of lying alone under the soil without you. Recollecting this, Ortha giggled. So all these were being recollected by Orotha. It's not that Orotha has reached her home and she's having a conversation with her husband. She recollected while she was, leaving Pennamacharati's house. And she giggled, recollecting all this. From behind, then someone took up Orotha's giggle. So that is the moment when someone started giggling behind her. Let's see who that is. From behind them, someone took up Orotha's giggle. Flaring the torch with no backward glance, Orotha rebuked. Get lost, you spirit. So we have a very casual introduction of a ghostly character here. Now, the ghost giggles at Pennamacharti's thoughts, or Pennamacharti's, or as an echo to Pennamacharti's. I mean Orotha's giggle, and we have a normal response that is being given by Orotha there. Something like Orotha would have said if it was a man. Get lost, you spirit. Don't play with me. I have heard the tale of how you played pranks on my mother-in-law on a night like this long ago. Don't forget, this is Orotha. So Orotha is kind of, warning the spirit that, don't you forget that this is Orotha. It's like we are listening to a casual conversation between a human and a spirit. This is the kind of magical world that Gracie creates through her fiction. With an ear-shattering roar, the wind gushed past Orotha. Orotha's house was just across the cashew grove. Grove means a group of trees. In this context, a group of cashew trees. Many had hanged themselves in the grove. So that isn't any ordinary grove. It was in that particular grove that many committed suicide. The owners being far away, it lay open without a fence or even a stick for a boundary. Anyone could come and hang himself here. So the place was very much accessible. The owners were not there. It did not have a fence or a boundary. So anyone could go there at any time and they could do anything. And mostly what people did is they used to go there and commit suicide. And that is the reason why perhaps we have so many ghosts at this particular place. And we have already met one ghost, even though he doesn't have a name as of now. Swinging the torch vigorously, Orotha entered the cashew grove. The wind that had gushed in before Orotha furiously shook the cashew trees on which the blacksmith Itaman had hanged himself, looked at Orotha, and sneered. So Orotha, she enters the grove. The wind that troubled her earlier now violently shook the cashew tree on which blacksmith Itaman had committed suicide, and it seems to sneer at Orotha. Sneer means to smile contemptuously. Even before the laughter had died down, Itaman called from the tip of the cashew branches. Hey Orotha, give Itaman too a piece of meat and then go. So yet another casual conversation that we have there, yet another casual dialogue that we have there. Uh, Itaman asks, please give me a piece of meat. You have two pieces of meat, give me a piece of meat. Orotha's spirit rallied. Rallied means it rose itself. She became very angry. Pah, you accursed fellow. Accursed means someone who is under a curse. Pah, you accursed fellow. Your woman gave all that she cooked to the other fellow because of your ineptness. So as of now, we have Orotha blaming the spirit of Itaman for what he had done during his, while he was alive. Your woman, which means your wife, gave all that she cooked to the other fellow because of your ineptness. Ineptness means unskillfulness. You were useless when you were alive. That is why your wife cooked something for someone else. Who else but you would have hanged himself because she ran away with that fellow? So as of now, we have a ghost and his name is Itaman. He is blacksmith Itaman and he committed suicide in that cashew grove. He committed suicide because his wife ran away with someone else. And Orotha blames Itaman for committing suicide. She says, who else but you would have hanged himself because she ran away with that fellow? Itaman fell silent. So this is why I earlier said that Gracie's ghosts are people with human feelings. Now, right now, Itaman is feeling guilty because he committed suicide, and that is why he droops his head and he falls silent. Itaman fell silent on the branches of the cashew tree. Then, leaving Itaman's cashew tree behind, the wind galloped ahead of Orotha and awoke fortune teller Shanda's Predam. So we have the second ghost coming in, and it is the ghost of Shanda. Shanda was a fortune teller. Orotha Cherti, aren't I with child after all? Give me a piece of meat and then carry on. So everyone, they are making, they are requesting the meat that Orotha is carrying. Ittaman asks for it. Now you have Shanta. Shanta even makes, a kind of a request. She says, aren't I with a child? I am somebody with a child. So please give me a piece of meat and then carry on. Let's see what Orotha will reply to that. Orotha said with compassion. She gives this response with a sympathy for Shanda's situation. My Shanda Koche, couldn't you have lured someone else? You could have attracted someone else. Isn't an uncle's son your own flesh and blood, my child? The pregnant ghost swung from a low branch of the cashew tree, holding on to some memory of a forbidden taste. So this is the reply that Orotha gives to the Predam or the ghost of Shanda. Couldn't you have lured someone else? Isn't an uncle's son your own flesh? So this is what Shanda, this is the sin probably that she committed while she was alive. She lured her own uncle's son. And as of now, Orotha is criticizing, rebuking Shanda for the act that she did while she was alive. Isn't an uncle's son your own flesh and blood, my child? The pregnant ghost swung from a low branch of the cashew tree, holding on to some memory of a forbidden taste. So Shanda understood, where Orotha was hinting at. She just stopped talking to Orotha. The wind again rushed forth in an attempt to scare Orotha. Let's see who is the third spirit that will appear before Orotha. Shaking one-handed Auda, the wind whispered something. Before Auda could ask anything, Orotha said. So we have a third ghost and his name is Auda. So before Auda could say something, this is what Orotha says. You are a clever fellow, Auda. Didn't you, with your one hand, carry off 20 sacks of pepper stored in the Valyavidu attic that night? So everyone, all the ghosts that we meet in this story have done some heinous crime while they were alive, or they had done some act which might have probably led to their suicide, and that is being narrated here by Orotha. Didn't you, with your one hand, carry off 20 sacks of pepper? So this is what Auda did. He carried away, he stole 20 sacks of pepper which was stored in a person's house. But it was utter folly on your part to have gone and hanged yourself when they found out and filed a case against you. So this is why Auda committed suicide. He stole 20 sacks of pepper, and since he stole it, he was, they gave a complaint against him. They filed a complaint against him with the police, and he committed suicide for that. The one-handed ghost fell silent. So again, you have, a very human-like ghost. He is being blamed for the act he did, and therefore, he knows that it is true. Therefore, he droops his head and he falls silent. The one-handed ghost fell silent, realizing his folly. It's as if a man realizes his foolishness. Folly means foolishness. So we have a ghost here who has understood the kind of foolishness that he did while he was alive. He lay back, staring at the sky. Seeing the wind attempting to climb yet another tree, Orotha said. So it's like the wind is evoking or, waking up all these ghosts. So Orotha, tells the wind, don't bother to scare me again, you ghost. Here, I have reached my house. Why don't you go straight to hell? So Orotha seems to be a very strong, confident, courageous character. She confronts all these ghosts on her way, and finally she has reached her home, and she says to the ghosts who are trying to scare her again, she says, why don't you go straight to hell? On hearing Orotha's footsteps in the yard of the house, a question quivered at the tip of her husband's tongue. Who is it? So we understand that Orotha's husband is a person who is afraid to sleep alone. So probably, of course, yes, naturally, when you hear a voice outside, you would ask. Now, this voice was a bit quivering type of noise. He was shivering because he was afraid. Who is it? Orotha bent down to put out the torch. Wiping her face and neck with the edge of her mundu, she straightened up. Hey, it's me, my man. Open the door. So this might be probably a consolation for the husband. Now, you have a magical atmosphere in this story. I hope that is very clear to you. Now, what makes it different from other stories with the same atmosphere is that it is so normalized. It has been made into something which happens on a usual basis, something which you are very familiar with, because the ghosts in this particular story have been incorporated with, instilled with human like emotions and feelings. The ghosts are not like supernatural beings in this story. They are normal beings with emotions. Now they have, as I said earlier, they have emotions like fear, love, greed, and even hatred, which makes them very much human-like. And as I said earlier, this is the highlight of the story, or this is exactly why the story becomes typical of Gracie's fiction. Anyway, we have come to the end of the story. uh, I hope you have understood the story. Now, if you have any clarifications to make, now please do that. You can post your doubts, you can post your questions underneath this video on my YouTube channel. So thank you so much for being with me.